Hey y'all, Instinct Survivors coming again with another 2-Tip Tuesday. This time we'll be talking about knots. 2 of them. And actually maybe even one more. So what I went and did is I looked back at some of the previous videos, and I had promised you we were going to come back or revisit, if you will, knots. We're going to talk about getting up closer, showing you how to do them. I may use my simulated tree right here. We may go to a physical tree to do these. But the 2 I want to focus on today is the Bowline and the trucker's hitch. Now, why did I pick those? So many of you know that I use my instincts to survive, right? And so what I do is I listen and I watch for trends, things that are happening over and over and over, because that pattern actually gives me ideas, and that pattern actually shows me what may need to be popular or what may be needed at the moment. After watching 2 different movies, and both of them talking about the Bowline, one of them, the Bowline was used to save lives. The other one is a trucker's hitch. Maybe not save lives, but it could. And the reason I say that is because if you're doing stuff to tighten a load down, as an example, we look at actually where I learned this from was my dad, and then my stepdad, and then my grandfather. The list goes on. They all used it to tighten down loads, and in order to do so, that was one of those things that kept it from coming off, and then again, thusly saving lives. The Bowline knot was used in, and I'm trying to remember one of the movies. The other one was actually in Hacksaw Ridge, where he made a double Bowline. It's a Bowline, not a bra. For those of you that have seen it, you know exactly what I'm referring to. If you haven't seen it, well worth the watch, people. Well worth the watch. Good movie. Overall, I want to focus on these 2 knots today, and again, I'll probably give you a third. The reason being is because the trucker's hitch starts off with an alpine butterfly. Will we use that one? Maybe, maybe not. I may go ahead and show it to you just so that you have an extra one in your pack, if you will, but you don't have to use an alpine butterfly. It depends on the load. If you're looking at true load bearing, you're going climbing, learn the alpine butterfly. It's just one of those things. Otherwise, you can just put a bite in a line, and that's typically what I do. In this one, I actually did the alpine butterfly. So what I want to do is I want to reposition the camera, and in repositioning, I want to be able to come in closer and let you see exactly how the knots are done. For those of you that already know how to do a bowline, congratulations, good for you. It's one of those that hey, it's definitely beneficial to utilize over and over and over. So let me reposition the camera, and then we'll go from there. And one way to do this is to actually start with the loop in your hand. If you're going to do that, I always go with the long line, where it's coming from, over the top, short going underneath. You're working in, so to speak, and then coming around that way. Another way to do it is to come around and then flip your loop this way, which still puts it the way I said. Then we come through. Okay, so that's your start, right? Loop comes through, you're working in, comes through the loop itself, goes around the long piece, and then comes back up through the hole, right? So comes through the loop, around the long piece, the top, and comes up back up through the hole. Tighten up, good to go. And now you've got a knot that will not slip. Now the other side of this is if we want to undo this, breaking the back of it becomes a little bit of a pain in the butt. So there's another way to do this. Now there's caution to this, and I'll explain that in just a moment. Again, bringing your loop over, bringing your line through. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit, around. And then when you come back through is just feed a bite through it, okay? When I say a bite, what I'm talking about is a loop. We'll tighten it up, and you'll notice that you've got a nice, notice you got a nice bite in it. Now let me redo that so that you can see it again. Again, over, bringing the working in through, around, and then when you come back up, bring it just to a bite in there instead. Now, why would you do that overall? Because now you've got another bite that you can work with. If you want to put a toggle in it, maybe you want to take your toggle, sit there and start your tarp on this side. Okay, that's one way to do it. The other thing about this is with your hands being cold, now all I've got to do is pull the working end and you're undone. Okay, that's all there is to it. So that's it for the bowline knot. And again, you're just taking and making a loop on the tree itself, whether you are starting your tarp around the front, back up in there. I'll do it the full way so that you can see that again. Okay, there we go. We tighten it up and it's good to go. All right, now again, what you're doing is you're securing a rope to a tree or to an item, depending upon what you're trying to do. So that's one way. Okay, folks, so for the first thing you have to have is you have to have a bite in the line. And a bite, for those of you that don't know, is really just a loop in your line, okay? So a loop in the line so that you can use it for tensioning in the trucker's hitch itself. Now, for the trucker's hitch, one of the things they recommend, or I don't know about recommend, you know, as a national, you have to do it this way. But the Alpine Butterfly is one that the North American Climbing Association, I think that's what it's called, but basically the climbers group, climbing association use. And the only way, you know, the way to do that is actually taking a loop, fold it over on itself, take and twist, bring it down. Make sure you keep hold of that loop right there, otherwise you've lost everything. And then feed it back through. Then that tightens up. And you've got your nice little loop. Now, why is this one beneficial? My opinion is, although it's a headache, it's a pain in the butt to try to do, and it's another knot you have to learn. What it does do is it sits nicely in a line. And you'll notice it doesn't kink up to one side or anything like that. It sits nicely in the line. For climbing, that becomes essential, right? It's one of them things. And I don't know a lot about climbing. I am not a climber, but I know that that's one of the things that I've studied that has to be done. But what I want to do is I want to show you another one that may be equally as beneficial and it's definitively quicker. Now, if W.C. Fields was alive, he'd say, don't work with dogs or children or rope. Goodness gracious, getting knots out or the pain in the butt. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it a little bit easier. We're going to take this bite and we're going to fold it over, creates a double loop, feed the bite back through it. There you go. Now you have a bite on your line. Now, why is that important? Well, you have to have this bite in it for tensioning down this rope. And what I mean by that, let's go in, we're going to zoom out so you can see it, and let's reposition the camera just a little bit more. All right. Now, this bite is being used when you wrap around the tree, through a ring, through a loop, through a tarp, whatever it is. Then you take and you bring that back over. This is tightening down. So if I have my line here and I'm tightening down, that's why we're using it. Then you pinch this off, feed your line under and through to the inside, and then under and through to the outside. What that does is it makes a hitch and makes it to where it tightens down. There we go. Now it's tightened down and I don't have to worry about it slipping anymore. Okay, so let's look at that one more time. Guys, I know the recording is long, but I want to make sure that you get these. All right, I'm not going to go through the loop again, the bite. We'll take and go in, around and under and through, and under and through to the outside. And there we go. Now we're tightened down. See if I can zoom this in a little bit more for you. And now you see the trucker's hitch. pull in, tighten down, no problems. So there you have it. 2 knots, the Bowline, to put in the end of your ridge line, so that you can actually have a bite in it that won't slip. And then you could use that again for a ridge line. You can use it for securing. You could use it for fill in the blank. And then your trucker's hitch for tightening down a load, tensioning, if you will, whether it's tightening a load on a truck and or in our case tightening up a tarp. Maybe we want to do that to kind of crank it down a little bit, make sure it doesn't move. It could be used in place of a taut hitch or taut line hitch if you want to get the technical term. Excuse me. But those are why we're using those. We may come in and do some more knots, some more close-ups on knots. We may not do knots. I don't know. Hey y'all, thanks for the likes, subscribes, and comments. Thanks for everything you do. Until then, use your instincts to survive. Thanks for watching.